Ed Oliver is out for Sunday against the Jets and is in danger of missing multiple weeks. The Bills got a new punter, and my 5 predictions for Sunday are coming your way today on Locked On Bills.
You are Locked On Bills, your daily Buffalo Bills podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Bills Mafia? It's Joe Marino, author of the Herd Mentality Substack, co-host of the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast, co-host of the NFL First Read Podcast, and I'm your host of Locked On Bills. Want to thank you for making Locked On Bills your first listen every day, and a big welcome and shout out to our everydayers. You know who you are. Those of you who never miss a single episode, I appreciate y'all being here very, very much. Locked On Bills is a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This episode is brought to you by Mazda. You can just move through life, or you can find the things that move you. It's your choice. Mazda, move and be moved. Well, folks, welcome in. This is the last conversation that we're going to have before the Bills face the Jets in week 2. And we have some newsy stuff to catch up on. We have my 5 predictions for Sunday. We'll talk to Dr. Kyle Trimble of Banged Up Bills, but I do want to start with the big news, and that is Ed Oliver has been ruled out for Sunday against the Jets. And Adam Schefter followed up and said on X that the injury is considered a multiple week injury and that his absence is likely to extend beyond this week. Sean McDermott met with the media and said that Ed Oliver got stepped on during practice on Wednesday, and he's out for Sunday. That's what we know. He said there's a chance he could play next week in week 3, Thursday night at home against Miami, but you foil that against what Adam Schefter said about it being considered a multiple week injury, and we just don't know how long he's going to be out. If it is multiple weeks, of course, he's out Sunday against the Jets, then it's Thursday night at home against Miami, followed by a home game against the Saints, home against the Patriots, then at the Falcons, then you have the bye week. It's obviously a manageable part of the schedule, but I want to see Ed Oliver play. He finished last season on a high note. He was awesome against Baltimore, and now he's got a foot injury and kind of takes the momentum out of where he was headed. So get right and get back on the field, but it's crazy how quickly things can happen in the NFL where you thought you had a lot of depth and a lot of options, and it goes away very quickly. Ed Oliver is injured right now. Larry Ogunjobi is suspended. Dwayne Carter ruptured his Achilles. You thought you had all this defensive tackle depth, and now suddenly it's a very different picture. This puts a lot on TJ Sanders and Deion Walker, who are going to get more snaps, a lot more snaps. It'd be good for them, right? It's valuable. And hopefully the Bills can win a bunch of games along the way here and gain experience for the young players. I anticipate seeing one of Jordan Phillips or Zion Logue elevated from the practice squad to play this week. So defensive tackle stressed right now, right? Silver lining, a lot of reps coming for Deion Walker and TJ Sanders, and that should benefit them. The concern is if it hurts the Bills, right? Again, a manageable part of the schedule, but you won't have Ed Oliver. We'll see how long that'll be the case for. Hopefully just a game or two, but we'll see how it heals. We'll talk to Dr. Kyle Trimble about it more here in segment 2. The Bills also added a defensive tackle to their practice squad. Matt Prater was signed to the active roster, so that opened a spot in the practice squad. It's been filled by defensive tackle Phidarian Mathis. Mathis was a 2022 second-round pick, actually a top 50 pick by the Commanders out of Alabama. He appeared in 23 games across 3 seasons for Washington. And I studied this player and did a full evaluation on him coming out of Alabama. I was very surprised that he was picked so high. He felt like a very ordinary player to me that would be like a depth player in the NFL that would kind of be a nose tackle, run stuffing type player. Obviously a high pick for Washington that didn't get a lot of opportunity, and they very quickly moved on. So I think you can perk up and say, oh, recent second-round pick out of Alabama. But then I think the reality of what the skill set is, that'll temper you a little bit there. But he fills a role on the practice squad, and I think there is at least some level of upside with him. Josh Allen was named AFC Offensive Player of the Week for his efforts against the Baltimore Ravens. He earns Player of the Week honors for a franchise record 16th time. So every time he gets this thing, he's extending his own record. It's pretty cool that he is now the player with the most Player of the Week honors since he entered the NFL in 2018, more than any other player, which is super cool. Some fun nuggets about Josh Allen's performance against Baltimore. It was Josh Allen's 7th career game with 2 or more passing touchdowns and 2 or more rushing touchdowns. He has the most of those games in NFL history. 7. And he's held that record. So every time he does that, he's extending his own record. It was also his 3rd game of 350 passing yards or more and 2 passing touchdowns and 2 rushing touchdowns. Also the most in NFL history. And his 251 fourth quarter passing yards were the most by a quarterback in a win since 1996. No quarterback in NFL history had ever passed for 250 yards and logged 2 rushing touchdowns in the same quarter until Josh Allen did that on Sunday night. And we can't gloss over this. Josh Allen also became the Buffalo Bills' all-time leader in rushing touchdowns with now 67. Thurman Thomas, a running back, of course, previously held that mark with 65. So now every Josh Allen rushing touchdown moving forward is extending his own franchise record. So pretty cool to see Josh Allen building this resume. And I'm excited to see how he continues to add to his resume over the next 10, 15 years, hopefully, of playing quarterback for the Buffalo Bills. The Bills have already made a change at punter. We knew this was a concern. Brad Robbins released after 1 game. The Bills replace him with Cameron Johnston. Cameron Johnston's a veteran punter in the league, 33 years old. He's been in the league since 2018. He was with the Eagles from 18 to 21. He was with Houston from 21 through 23. And then he signed a deal last year to go to the Pittsburgh Steelers, a 3-year, $9 million deal. And he suffered a season-ending injury in week 1. And now he's with the Bills. And I think Cameron Johnston has been at least a league average punter for a number of years, which is encouraging. And it reminds me of when the Bills added Sam Martin, where you kind of stumble into a punter that, is not really a question mark, a guy that's pretty established, and you're going to get at least average punting. And Cam Johnston's got some punting power to him. I like his numbers in terms of average punt, and I think that'll be helpful. Brad Robbins, unfortunately, has struggled, right? He was a draft pick of the Bengals in 2023. He was the lowest per punt EPA punter in the league in 2023. He didn't punt at all in 2024, comes to the Bills, and after 1 week, guess what? He was the lowest EPA per punt punter in the NFL in week 1. And so I think Cameron Johnston's availability plus Robbins' continued struggles prompted a move like this. And honestly, I think the Bills upgrade here. I think they stumble into an upgrade, which is nice to see. And hopefully Cameron Johnston can provide great contributions and value to the Bills as their punter moving forward. So it's week 2, and the Bills have a new punter, and Tyler Bass is on injured reserve, and Matt Prater is your kicker. So specialists, a storyline of this 2025 season already. Now, hopefully, these guys get the job done, and it winds up being a positive, which I think there's a good chance of that being the case. These are highly experienced specialists in Matt Prater and Cameron Johnston. All right, coming up next, we're going to touch base with Dr. Kyle Trimble of Banged Up Bills. We'll talk Ed Oliver and other Bills injuries, including Taron Johnson, who's been limited all week in practice. So, folks, be sure to stick with me. You can just move through life, or you can find the things that move you. It's your choice. You can choose to get out there, choose your people. You can choose to go for it, like really go for it. Just choose to do something that moves you. Mazda crafts cars for those who choose to do more than simply move. Mazda, move and be moved. It's almost the weekend, And it's time to look back and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more time on every order. And these players delivered when it mattered most. Let's break it down. For the Buffalo Bills, of course, Josh Allen delivered in a big way. An unreal performance, especially in the fourth quarter against the Ravens. When the pressure was on, Allen came through. No hesitation, no delay. And if you've been watching him week after week, this performance wasn't a fluke. Josh Allen is on a streak. And just like Josh Allen delivered for the Buffalo Bills, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays. With DoorDash Streaks, you save every Saturday you order. Stack it up all season, and you could save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period through November 18th. I'm joined now by Kyle Trimble. He's a doctor of physical therapy. He runs bangedupbills.com. You can follow him on social media at bangedupbills. He joins us each week to get ready for the upcoming Bills game from an injury perspective. And unfortunately, we have some players to dive into. Dr. Kyle Ed Oliver is the popular name. We know he's not playing this week. He's ruled out for Sunday against the Jets after not practicing Thursday and Friday. We found out that he was stepped on during the Wednesday practice. I know that piecing this together can be challenging, but what are you thinking here? Adam Schefter comes through and says potentially a multiple week injury. Curious to hear what you have to say about it.
This is really interesting because there's a lot of moving pieces with this. We're getting, a piece here and there and more of the puzzles being put together, but we still don't have all the pieces to better understand really what happened. So like you said, he was stepped on during practice. Sean McDermott said that on Wednesday. And then I believe you had even posted on social media that somebody in the YouTube chat was talking about how Ed had posted a quick Instagram story about him being in a boot and then quickly deleted it for whatever reason. So we know that this, happened Wednesday. He was dealing with it early Thursday. That suggests that he suffered it Wednesday, thought it was okay, and then came in and realized something's not right on Thursday. And they knew pretty early on. I know some people were questioning about, well, why was he able to talk with the media as well? Well, he might have not thought anything of it, football play, and then come in and realize maybe the ankle is all swollen or it's hurting a lot more. It's interesting that they classify it as an ankle because usually we get stepped on. I would think that it'd be associated with a foot, and then I'm starting worrying about other things there. But the Bills have been pretty truthful about designating the body part and being what that is there. They've had some leeway with different things with some neck or like when Cole Beasley suffered his fibula fracture a few years ago. But generally, they stay in the general body part and the area. So they're not saying a foot is an ankle or a knee is a hip or something like that there. So Adam Schefter said that he's going to be multiple weeks, knowing that week 3 is a short week on Thursday. That could be qualified as multiple week. We don't know the exact injury. I'm hoping it's going to be less since he's stepped on, but Ed Oliver also said that he was fine last time he suffered an ankle injury, and that was week 1 of 2022 season. He suffered a high ankle sprain, missed 3 games after that. It could be a high ankle sprain. It could be something else where he just got cleated and it's really just blowing up. They need to see how it responds. We need a little bit more information as to the exact injury. I don't know if we'll get it. This could be a medial ankle sprain too, but usually when you see people get stepped or hit on from the outside, it's more likely a high ankle sprain than a true medial sprain. There could be some other options there too, but I'm really going down the rabbit hole if I start thinking about the other things that could be there. So there's the wait and see approach. I'm hoping that he can suit up, maybe week 4. I don't see the benefit of sitting him out for week 2 and then try to rush him back for week 3, but we'll kind of wait and see. The upside is that he is weight bearing on it. He is wearing a boot, walking around the field house, and we just have to see when he gets back to practice. But a week 4 return would be more realistic than what Sean McDermott was saying.
It's an important layer to the injuries that could happen in this game is the Bills do play Thursday night, so a short week. Hopefully the Bills got to get out of this thing healthy. Let's talk Tre'Davious White, groin injury. He didn't practice at all last week, but he was a limited participant in every practice this week, designated as questionable for the game. I'm anxious to hear from you, but I think an interesting layer to the Tre'Davious White situation is that he spoke to the media this week, and normally guys don't do that if there's a question if they're going to play or not. So I would have loved to have seen a full at some point this week, a full participation in practice, but speaking to the media does mean something.
Absolutely, it does. I mean, they're not getting guys out there. I mean, Ed Oliver, we just talked about, who did speak to the media Wednesday, and then he's not participating. However, we definitely do see guys who are pretty close or do are planning on practicing and playing, they do speak with them. So that's a good sign. Quick recap: injured on August 21st, a lot of mystery behind it. And then they revealed last week there was a groin injury. Did not practice all last week, was doubtful. Doubtful players do not play, under like 2% league wide. And the key thing I got out of the interviews he talked about, he has a better mental health perspective on trying to manage the injury and know how to kind of work himself back after he dealt with the Achilles and the ACL injuries. But he also noted that he's just still working on his conditioning. So it sounded like they really shut him down for a little bit, not doing a whole lot to let things really heal up there. I'm sure he's still doing some stuff in the pool and some rehab exercises, but they weren't really trying to push him to get back out there, which was a good sign, being he's a veteran and they respect his opinion on how he's feeling. So it might just come down to how he's feeling that Sunday. They already have a pretty good idea whether he's going to play or not. I wouldn't mind them sitting him another week, knowing that you have other depth available to you. But if he's ready to go, get him out there and get those reps underneath him, because it's been 3 weeks since he's really done any meaningful football.
That'd be interesting if it is a conditioning thing at this point, if they lean into the experience that Dorian Strong had last week and maybe platoon the two players. So it seems like that's trending in a good direction. Let's talk Taron Johnson, Bill's slot corner, quad injury. Didn't practice Wednesday, but limited Thursday and Friday, listed as questionable for Sunday against the Jets.
This one I'm pretty optimistic about, which is, a nice change from what we usually talk about. The reason being that Taron talked to Joe Biscaglia of The Athletic, and he had said that he didn't quite know how he suffered his injury. I went back and looked through the film. I only found like 2 or 3 instances where maybe you can try to justify that maybe this is when it happened, but there wasn't a clear-cut mechanism of injury. So he said he came into the facility on Tuesday and realized something wasn't feeling right, and that's where it really kind of came up on. And he had told Joe that he was hoping that he could go on Sunday, that he was feeling pretty good. The limited participation does suggest that after not practicing on Wednesday. So we'll have to kind of wait and see. Once again, it's early in the season. Sometimes they hold off on these guys there, but Taron's one of your best players. You get him out there and have him playing. And he played, I think, about 2/3 of the snaps last time in week 1 anyway. So if they feel he can go without aggravating anything, which I think it might be a contusion based off of how this presented, that's more likely to be better managed than if it was a strain and potentially make it worse.
Defensive back Jordan Hancock, shoulder injury. He practiced in full on Wednesday, then limited Thursday and Friday, designated as questionable for Sunday. In listening to Sean McDermott on WGR, talking injuries on Friday morning, one thing that I gathered was, maybe he'll be able to go from an availability perspective, but I don't know that he's going to be an active player if he is healthy. This could be a healthy scratch. So I'm not sure that the injury is going to keep him out. I think that it might be a healthy scratch, but I'm curious if you had any thoughts on the shoulder injury for Jordan Hancock.
I do recall last week he was inactive as a healthy scratch anyway.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think that plays probably more into it. And then Sean McDermott's words, like I wasn't able to listen to it this morning. So I'm glad that you picked up on that. So I could see him being more of a scratch due to injury / healthy inactive there. Quick context with him. He had suffered a shoulder injury against the Bears and went out. He said he was fine. And Nick Sabato of the Niagara Gazette had said that Hancock has a history of stingers going back to his days at Ohio State. This wasn't known during the draft process, but considering he's in a red non-contact jersey on Friday and the fact that he's back on there with a shoulder injury, and that's what they designated the injury as back against the Bears in the preseason, and now still suggests that that's what's going on. I don't know if it's coming from the neck or if it's more of the shoulder and he just has some irritation in there. I wouldn't mind seeing him sit just because, I don't think there's any benefit, especially as a rookie there. So, if we see Hancock sit, I see them. We probably see White play, but also keep in mind we did see both of them sit last week, and the Bills, still managed to get the win. So we'll see what happens. But I wouldn't mind seeing Hancock sit just because if you have White ready to go, that's too many cornerbacks.
The last player with a game day designation is Shaq Thompson, reserve linebacker. Hamstring / hand. Didn't practice Wednesday, limited Thursday and Friday, questionable for Sunday.
He's another one who has a lingering injury. He suffered a right hamstring strain back at the return of the blue and red scrimmage on August 1st. Slowly worked his way back. I mean, they're not going to rush him back considering he was coming off the Achilles tear from the previous season. And it's also the interesting the hand designation. he only played special teams during week 1. I went back through and looked at the film. There wasn't anything notable there. Sometimes those hamstring strains can really be subtle and you don't really see them until they start walking around later and realize they're sore. He did make 1 tackle on special teams, so maybe he got the hand caught in there somewhere. I don't think you're going to see a hand injury keep a linebacker out. I mean, they can club that up and then get back out there. So the previous instances of dealing with soft tissue, I would imagine he's going to try sitting just because older player, previous hamstring injury area earlier this season, let the guy rest. This could be a chance where we see Jimmy Charlo get elevated, but we'll have to kind of wait and see how things go on Sunday. So I know there's a lot of questions about things, but there's a lot of variables that go in these decisions. And unfortunately, I'm not in that room to understand what's going on with that. But if I was, I wouldn't be talking to you either. So
listen, Jimmy Charlo, that might be fun. He was with the Jets last year, tore ACL, I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
So
yes,
be a good way for him to make his NFL debut. So sign me up for that. There's other players with bumps and bruises, but they all practiced in full on Friday with no game day designation. So Dr. Kyle Trimble, as always, we appreciate you coming on, and let's get out of this thing healthy so we don't have much to talk about in a short week.
Absolutely. I definitely agree. Go Bills.
The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Check this out. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you're going to get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel because it fits however I want to bet. Whether that's spreads, over-unders, player props, building a same-game parlay, or even jumping into the live betting as the action unfolds. Makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your favorite team or you're just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. It's quick, it's easy, and it's the best way to add a little more energy to your Sundays. And I love checking out the profit boost. So if you've been playing on FanDuel for a while, make sure you log in there and see what boosts are available to you. It makes it even more fun. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Welcome back, folks. It's time for my 5 predictions for Sunday against the Jets. And we're actually going to lean into some props with this week's predictions. There's some statistical measurements that I feel pretty good about. So let's unpack that right now. My first prediction is that Josh Allen passes for 250 or more yards on Sunday. And FanDuel actually has the over-under here at 231.5. I am smashing the over. And I personally have this bet locked in at Josh Allen plus 275 passing yards, and I have those odds at plus 240. So point being, I'm feeling good about Josh Allen's passing production on Sunday. You know, Aaron Glenn is the head coach of the Jets. You're going to get man coverage. You're going to get blitzes. And the Bills faced Aaron Glenn as a defensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions last year, and Josh Allen threw the ball all over that defense. 48 points, well over 500 yards. I think that Josh will be very productive throwing the football. And I think it's an important part of what the Bills need to do is be aggressive and get that lead and dictate this game script. The Jets want to play a clock control, run the football style of game. They were the highest percentage of run plays of any offense in the league in week 1. We know this is what Aaron Glenn wants to do. And you have to dictate this game script. And I think the way you do that is you are aggressive throwing the football with Josh Allen. And so put me down for 250 or more passing yards for Josh Allen on Sunday. And really, I'm thinking 275 plus. But the over-under is at 231.5, so I didn't feel bad about 250 being a reasonably bold bet. Number 2, put me down for Khalil Shakir having over 48.5 receiving yards. I'm really fascinated to find out what the Jets do with Sauce Gardner, whether they have him play a side or if they have him follow Keon Coleman or if they have him follow Joshua Palmer. The one thing he won't do is follow Khalil Shakir, who will function primarily from the slot. And Khalil's going to have a lot of chances against Michael Carter, the Jets slot corner. And based on the Jets being a pressure team that runs man coverage, I love this opportunity for Khalil Shakir. I love it. Whether it's yards after catch or, you know, winning as a route runner in the middle of the field, I think there's going to be some production for Khalil. And I just This feels like one of those games where he's a really important part of Buffalo's offensive game plan. So put me down for over 48.5 receiving yards, which is where FanDuel has it set right now. Number 3, Garrett Wilson, Jets receiver. The over-under for him is set at 59.5 receiving yards. I think he hits the over there. I think Garrett Wilson's a really good player. And we saw him last year give Christian Benford some trouble. And whoever is defending Garrett Wilson, that's going to be a matchup advantage probably for the Jets. And Justin Fields is not a super consistent quarterback, but this is a college teammate. These guys were highly productive at Ohio State. And, we saw them throw the ball not that many times in week 1, but a lot of those targets went to Garrett Wilson. And in fact, I think in terms of percentage of teams' targets claimed in a game, the 5th highest percentage in week 1 was Garrett Wilson with the Jets. They're going to throw the ball to Garrett Wilson. And really, it's the only passing game weapon that you really find yourself concerned about. And so the chemistry of Fields and Wilson, who Wilson is in the league, the matchup opportunities, it could be some chances against Tre'Davious White or Dorian Strong, or even like we've talked about, Christian Benford has had his own challenges defending Garrett Wilson. I think Wilson will be productive, especially if the Bills achieve this thing of dictating the game script and the Jets are in a drop back passing game. They have to throw the ball a lot. Garrett Wilson's going to get a lot of opportunity. So put me down for 59.5 or more receiving yards. So 60 or more receiving yards for Garrett Wilson. Number 4, put me down for Joey Bosa's first sack as a Buffalo Bill. I think there's some great opportunities for Bosa in this game, and I want to start first with Bosa. I really love the way he played against Baltimore. I think you can look at a couple of zone read plays where he got sucked in and gave up some production, but outside of that, I thought he played really well, especially with his pass rush. Quick off the ball, super powerful and physical. Thought the timing with his rush moves were really good, and he was close. Obviously, Lamar Jackson's a very difficult quarterback to sack. Justin Fields is one of the most sacked quarterbacks of the last 5 years. He has a sack rate of 11.8% for his career. That's absurd. He gets sacked all the time. And he's also the quarterback with the highest average time to throw of any quarterback in week 1. And he's historically a guy with a slow trigger. I think his average time to throw for his career is 3.29 seconds. That's insanely long. So he takes a bunch of sacks. He holds onto the football. And these tackles that they have, I like both of them. Olu Fashanu at left tackle, Armand Membu at right tackle. They're good young players, but they're young players. This will be Fashanu's 9th career start. This is Membu's 2nd career start. I think there's going to be some good opportunities for Bosa and Rousseau. But I like Joey Bosa to record a sack and maybe multiple on Sunday. So before I give you whether or not I think the Bills win or not, 250 passing yards or more for Josh Allen. Khalil Shakir, over 48.5 receiving yards. Garrett Wilson, over 59.5 receiving yards. Joey Bosa, sack. And then lastly, I think the Bills win this game. Obviously, I'd love Ed Oliver to play. But I think when you consider what's the path, right? What's the path for the Bills to win? What's the path for the Jets to win? It's a more narrow path for the Jets. Yeah, they're at home. It's, that's helpful, I'm sure. But they need the game script to go a certain way. And even if it does, they still got to deal with Josh Allen. So I'm expecting points. I think the Bills will be in the 30s again with their points. I think Josh Allen's going to be highly productive. I think the Bills' offense is so different than the Jets. And, it's different than the Steelers, right? Because we saw the Jets play the Steelers in week 1. And obviously the Steelers had a lot of production. But I think that the Bills can really stress this Jets defense in some unique ways, including the run game. The Jets played the run well against Pittsburgh, but Pittsburgh ran exclusively zone runs, and Aaron Rodgers can't move. Well, Josh Allen's like one of the best dual threat quarterbacks in NFL history, and they have a blended run scheme. I think they're going to challenge this Jets D-line that doesn't have a lot of depth. They're going to challenge small linebackers with a very multiple run scheme. So I think there's a lot of opportunities throwing it. I think there's a lot of opportunities running it. And maybe the Jets will move the ball and score some points, but I don't think they're going to outpace Josh Allen. So put me down for a Bills win on the road. Folks, don't miss Bill Squad. We go live right after the game. Myself, Jeremy White, Jerry Ostrowski, right here on the Locked On Bills YouTube channel. We're going live for immediate reaction to Bills Jets. So make that part of your post-game routine. And then, of course, plenty of coverage all next week. You know the drill. And in the Substack, you get all the different posts, different things that I have going on. Go to thejoemarino.com. You can check out the Substack. You can check out the subtext if you want like in-game text from me right to your phone, let you know what I'm thinking. That's available to you as well. We have a merchandise shop. We have some great new designs, a new Happy Victory Monday shirt. There's a new 716 shirt with Zuba print on it. It's super cool looking. Some herd mentality stuff. We have the We Have Josh Allen and You Don't t-shirts. It's all there on the merch shop. Just go to thejoemarino.com. You can get information about getting into our Discord channel. So many cool things going on if you're looking for additional content and additional opportunities to be part of community outside of listening to Locked On Bills, which is obviously always a priority, but we have some additional cool things going on as well for those who might want to be part of it. Again, thejoemarino.com. There's a link in today's show notes. And with that, the hay is in the barn. Folks, we've done all we can. Get ready for this game. Bills-Jets week 2. Bills searching for their second win of the season. Only thing that's left to do is for the Bills to go out there and win this game, and I think they are going to. All right, folks, that's it for us today. As always, I kindly ask that you share, subscribe, rate, and review. Have a great rest of your day. Go Bills, and I look forward to catching up with you again real soon.